this is a smaller, slightly better version of Golden Corral. I mean, they don't have Jeff Foxworthy pulling for them, but I mean,
It's Shoney's.
it's Shoney's.
It's Shoney's.
Shoney's.
See if they'll sponsor you.
That's the intro. So what's up, guys? What's going on here? River Sullivan coming at you right here, right now. Pre-recorded and live to your listening pleasure. With This Evening Tonight. And this evening, tonight, or whatever time it is that you're listening or watching. With me here, yet again for like the fourth or fifth time. So many now I've lost count. The Silver Fox is back. The Count of Coffee. The Duke of Deep Fried. I don't even know what that means. I mean, I like it too. All right, we're just going to roll with it. The man with so many plans out there. And that's why I like talking to him, because we can come up with many plans. The other friend and hetero life mate. The Keurig is done. Sounds like the Keurig was done.
It didn't have the diarrhea sound at the end. It's not ready yet.
So what's up?
Thanks for that.
Oh, did I spit on you?
A little bit.
The body of Christ. The black spot.
Get a spin around the circle.
Oh, man. So what's up with you?
Living my damn life.
Living my damn
Just
life.
living my damn life. This coffee is really good, by the way.
Dude, this is great. We're drinking the Neebs Gaming World Peace Edition medium roast. I believe it's a Colombian and Guatemalan blend from PlayerOneCoffee.com. PlayerOne.coffee.com, if you're out there, please let there be a River Sullivan roast, because it has a lovely ring to it. I don't even know what it would be. It'd be full-bodied.
I would drink it.
They would have chunks of fat in it.
I would drink all of it. No, honestly, and that's not just me trying to sell it.
No, yeah. You did it with, like, we did the French press.
I'm pretty picky about my coffee, and I like it.
It's unfortunate that you bring the French press. Like, I'm actually tasting all the subtleties in it. Like, I was just doing this in my regular coffee pot, and I was like, it's good, but this is, man, is this delicious.
Well, there's the science behind it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so good.
Different coffee equipment brings out different things.
I mean, I got the Retro Con 9000 out there, or Nostalgia Electrics, really, coffee pot in that cherry red metallic with chrome accents, because I'm kind of a boss like that.
Very fine coffee machine.
So this week, guys, we're going to be talking here just a little bit about the one thing that's on everyone's mind. And no, that's not the election. No, it's not Justin Bieber. Dramatic music. Drama. Amping it up.
Coronavirus.
Yep, that's right, guys. The coronavirus. It's been on just about every major news station and every form of frickin' social media out there. We touched on it just a little bit, jokingly, but this thing is really starting to blow up. This started, how long ago was it?
What was it, January, December?
Let me check. Our first reported cases, January 20th of this year.
It's not been long.
And January 20th this year, we had like, four people infected. 278 initially in mainland China. And right now in China, we are sitting on 80,700 people. And everywhere else, we got 24,900 people. So it's definitely been growing here in a month and some change. Good God. Now, a lot of people they've been saying this doesn't kill as many people as the flu does, which absolutely doesn't. I looked it up, and it's about, a couple million to 140 or 14.5 million people or something every year are infected with the flu. And like 20 to 40,000 every year are killed by the flu, which right now, as we stand, let me refresh our numbers here.
I mean, if I'm understanding it right, it's a specific strain of the flu, influenza.
I honestly don't know. They call it a coronavirus because of the shape. The corona,
Yeah.
it has a crown-like structure to it. But right now, we're at 105,561 total confirmed cases, 3,555 deaths, and total out of that number recovered, 58,354. So obviously the recovery rate is higher than the mortality rate. But if you look at it per capita, it actually is higher than the flu.
Right.
A lot of people say, well, flu kills way many more people. Well, the flu is also infected on a much higher level.
But see, this is the concerning thing with it is probably more so the risk of contagion compared to with influenza. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it seems, I'm not a medical expert, of course, but.
So let's do a quick little bit of background here. I mean, everybody should pretty much know this, but if you're following the news. If not, hey, welcome. We're here to help learn you some. So it started around the 20th of January of this year, around the Wuhan, China district, and they had believed that it started out of like a fish market or like a live goods produce market, because the live goods market that exists in China is pretty much non-existent over here. Like you go to Chinatown or something in New York City, and like the Chinatowns in like Chicago or whatever, and you can get like a chicken, like a live chicken. You go over to China and it's just like frogs and like eels and like snakes and all sorts of stuff.
Bats.
And like God, there was compilation videos of like guys in China of the mainland Chinese, and they're just taking looks like scissors that you used to cut box tape open with, and they're just cutting the head off a frog, and then they rip it inside out and eat the lungs while it was still kicking. I mean, over here in the States, we eat the frog. We eat the frog legs. We kill the frog, and then we deep fry it and bread it and deep fry it some more and butter the shit out of it. We Paula Deen the F out of that thing. But for the longest time, it was believed that it had started as a foodborne virus, like a E. coli strain or salmonella. Then they come to find out that it's not quite true, because this was the biggest part of irony, and also appeals to the gamer in me. There was some kind of, it was like a CDC or some kind of genetic research laboratory that was right next to that live goods market.
Conveniently.
And if you've ever played the Resident Evil series, the Umbrella Corporation, it has the same umbrella on it, except it's not red and white. It's like blue and teal. Have you seen it?
No, I have not, but I can believe that.
Yeah, so we just looked at it here. It was the Shanghai Rulan Baidusan Biotech Unlimited. And it's a light blue and white, but it's pretty much identical to the umbrella from Umbrella Corporation.
Wow, that is
from Resident Evil.
That's a long name right there.
That is like terrifying.
20 Chinese characters right there.
Well, there's the Chinese alphabet is over 2,000 characters.
Oh God!
Like we have 26 letters, but the Chinese alphabet, and there's two different forms. There's Mandarin and Cantonese, and each symbol represents a sound. Instead of us as letters that we combine together to create the sound, each symbol represents a different sound.
That hurts my head to think about.
Yeah. I mean, different strokes for different folks. But
do you think they have higher rates of carpal tunnel over there?
Well, I don't know. I want to know what a keyboard looks like.
I was just thinking that. You literally read my mind.
Man.
Desk-sized keyboard.
Enhance. But all right, so let's take a look here for right now in China. They have 80,652 cases in mainland China, 7,041 in South Korea, which is also weird because there's like zero reported in North Korea.
Well, no one's allowed in or out of there.
They're immune. I think they're immune.
Either that or all the ones that caught it are dead already because they don't have any.
I just checked this like a week ago. Italy had like a few hundred, and Iran had like 48.
Yeah, Italy's getting hit pretty hard right
Italy's
now.
at 58, 83, and they've had 233 deaths. Iran, close second to that, 58-23 with 145 deaths. Germany at 799, 0 deaths. France, 716.
We have listeners there in Germany, don't we?
We do. Oh, yeah. Thoughts and prayers out to the Germans.
Das Vaterland.
And the Swedes. We've Switzerland here. Yep, they're hit as well. 268, one confirmed death in Switzerland. Now for the list just goes on and on. I'll try to find the link to this. I'm utilizing the coronavirus COVID ID global cases by Johns Hopkins CSSE. So it was Johns Hopkins University, I believe, and they have a live tracker app that I'm using on a desktop. You can actually get a mobile version as well. But let's see, we got 54 in Canada, 63 in Australia. These are the numbers of infected. So let's see, U.S., we're actually up there. We're above Switzerland. God, we're at 377. We've had 14 deaths. 12 deaths out of King County, Washington. 1 death out of Placer County, California. And 1 death in Snohomish County, Washington.
Yeah, it looks like I hit the West Coast first.
Oh, dude, yeah, the West Coast is getting smashed right now. As soon as I remember looking at this when we had, like, our first case.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in Washington. And then I saw another one pop up in, like, Los Angeles. I'm going, it's going to blow up there. And it has. And I know New York City had 1 a few days ago. Now they're up to 11. Oh, yeah.
Well, the strange thing about it is, like, if I remember correctly, one of those cases in Washington had, like, no connections to anybody who had come in contact with China or the virus or anything. Like, it just showed up out of nowhere.
So originally, they had believed that the virus had been transmitted through coughing, sneezing, like a common cold or a flu, which they still believe that's predominantly true. And it's just good practice. Wash your hands. Disinfect everything. Like, I actually went through the house today and just was disinfecting all the doorknobs and handles. And I mean, we try to keep a clean house here at Casa de Sullivan, but I've been extra careful here lately. Man, I'm not gonna lie. We went out today and we had to run some errands down in town, and we were waiting on a store to open. And by the way, I've learned I'm getting older because I was pissed that the store I needed to go to opened up at 10 a.m. and we were up like 7:30, or I was up at 6:30. Like ready, I took the dog out, fed him. I got my coffee ready. I was like,
I'm right there with you.
Oh, I'm like, come on, what, 10 a.m. I was like, these kids waking up with the crack of
Lazy
noon.
folks can't wake up at 8.
Lazy son of bitches coming in working 6 hours. And
Wasted my time.
being all happy, having lives and dreams and hopes. You just wait and smash them hopes. So anyway, we went out to eat, and we went to a Shoney's, and it was just in time for the breakfast buffet. It was getting ready. They were getting ready to close. It was getting a little bit later in the day, but we caught it before they closed her down, and I loved it. You got to get 3 plates at a minimum. Make sure you're doing it right. Get your money's worth. But I'm looking around there, and I'm just going, if I hear somebody cough, I'm getting a little nervous because they had four people in quarantine in town. Well, I mean, nothing was confirmed. So far, they haven't come out that anything is legit.
I believe that would make sense because if you think about the state of West Virginia, not to sound xenophobic, but which city in our state has the most international students, international working professionals?
God, I never thought of it that way.
You know what I mean? And the biggest healthcare system?
Yeah.
This makes sense.
We are, what is it, Morgantown. Morgantown is the 4th most populated city in the state.
But if you look at it in terms of like the most students,
I was going to say when the students are here, I believe it's the 2nd most populated city in the state. The number 1 is still Kanawha, or Kanawha, as some of my brethren say. Down there.
Second one's correct.
We're the capital, Kanawha. It's like when you're going down to Norfolk. You don't go down to Norfolk, Virginia. You go down to Norfolk, down to the harbor.
Like Fayette County?
Yeah, Fayette-Nam.
Well, no, that's Fayette County up there.
I'm thinking Fayette County, PA. Yeah,
like
that's Fayette-Nam.
Southern West Virginia's Fayetteville.
Fayetteville. Look, man, I grew up in like Preston County, and I realized years ago when I was in high school that if you weren't from this area or grew up somewhat in that area, that you would need a translator to understand what some people say.
Sometimes.
Because my neighbor, his name is Cy. Yeah.
Cyrus.
Yeah, he's just Cy. And he was talking about his lawn tractor was acting up, and then he had this old, like, John Browning tractor that was, like, 80 years old. But we're just standing there like bullshitting. And he's going, yeah, man, the draft was all out to shit, man. The old man just come rustled out of it, and I had to get the bolt in there, and he had to take a little bit of heat to it. And I got the heat there, but that daggum here, about 45 minutes, I broke that bolt off, broke that nut off, and that nut just came right out there. Then just, and I was like, yeah, you took a little bit of heat to it, had to, did you get the cheater bar? Yeah, I got the cheater bar, man. Got cheater bar worked real good. I was dog cussing like some bitch, though.
Car ran good, real good.
Yeah, car ran good, car ran real good. I love these people, man. I love it up here. I'm one of them. I just have the ability to enunciate my words.
Yeah, I mean,
I like to be understood. That, and I am a traveled man. Those years I spent in Montana really took a lot of the twang out of my voice.
I mean, there's definitely a regional vernacular here that can be difficult to understand. Like my grandparents were notorious for. Like I remember going down to Fayette County in the summertime. That's where my grandparents lived.
Yeah.
I remember one time my papa, he used to sit out on the porch and drink. He used to drink whiskey. What did he used to drink?
George Dickel.
No,
Old Granddad. Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniels, yeah. He used to sit out there and drink it. And I mean, just straight out of the bottle. And at the time, like, I'm young. I don't know what that stuff is.
Was that iced tea, Papa?
I was like, what does it taste like? He's like, boy, I don't drink it for the taste. I drink it for the effects.
I drink it to drown out the screams of my enemies and my victims.
He was a Korean War veteran, so.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, shit. Is he still alive?
Nah.
Okay. Sorry. He's going to haunt me now. Light up that ghost repellent candle,
All
please.
right, I got you. Here you go.
But okay, let's swing on back here. Let's do a little bat turn, come back to this coronavirus here for a little bit.
They went off the rails quick.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, but that's the beauty. That's what I love about this show. So, there are worries right now for me is I believe this virus is completely underreported.
Absolutely.
Which, of course, I mean, two things. One, you look at it as like control. You don't want your population to know too much. You don't want them to know maybe how truly screwed we are or the potential for this to really, like, it's at pandemic status. But for it to be, the potential it could have to be biblical. And where I say its potential is because they just discovered that it mutated into another strain like a few days ago. Okay. And also, when we were talking about the where it was spread through cough on the initial strain, they also found out it was through fecal particles because diarrhea is one of the side effects. And so when you are going, you're lighting that toilet up like a machine gunner, and it's just like, brap, brap, brap. Well, your poop particles are floating through the air because, you're gassy or whatever because it's diarrhea. And, welcome. Hey, we all get it. Everybody poops. And so it gets spread through the air that way and then through the coughs. And now they're finding people that they have no idea that there was some people that weren't even symptomatic that tested positive for it. So I'm going, this is great. And riddle me this, my belief, I heard this and was reading it online that it was like the CDC themselves came out. And when asked about how to, protect yourself from the coronavirus, it was like, yeah, wash your hands, disinfect, cover your mouth when you cough. I said, okay. But then they went, the healthier you are, the better you are. It says, if you're kind of out of shape, you should probably start running or you should probably take a multivitamin. Like they're saying, get healthy because it's pretty much all it was for me was like they just said, brace yourself.
Winter's
the coronavirus is coming. Like you have to brace for impact. It's coming. Okay. And also, and it makes sense. And I'm not going to say it's like some deep state, this and that. If it was underreported on purpose, because the numbers, a lot of people believe the numbers reported are only accurate to 10%. They believe that's only 10% of the true numbers.
Probably.
So if it's underreported on purpose because of that, I understand because you don't want your people or whatever country you're in mass hysteria and panic. Like the fact that I was still able to go to town or I'm still going to work because I'm a little cog in the big machine. Because if it was blown up, if those numbers were 10 times higher or 9 times higher, whatever, so you're looking at almost 1 million people. If that's the mathematics of the conspiracy theory of it are true, nobody's going to work. Everybody's locking themselves in, and then it turns into Book of Eli time.
Well, see, that I think is the big threat with this is not so much the actual mortality rate from being affected, is just the effect on everybody's daily routines. Like they're experiencing that some in Washington right now. There's a lot of panic buying going on, to the point where they're actually having to put police officers at some of these stores' doorways, because it's like Black Friday every day,
Well, then you looked at it with this, when it started in China.
Mm-hmm.
What was going on in China and Hong Kong and Beijing area? Like, what was going on before this?
Refresh my memory.
Protests.
Oh, yeah.
They were protesting because they wanted like a democratic government.
Conveniently.
And then all of a sudden, this comes out, and there is not one person on the streets in Hong Kong or Beijing or anything like that. They said that those towns, those million people plus cities are ghost towns. Everybody's locked themselves inside.
And think about this, putting my tinfoil hat on again, but China's economy right now, where is it compared to where it was 6 months ago? And who benefits from that?
I mean, it was going down.
Think about how...
Then they liquidated all their bonds onto the market, which dropped like mortgage rates for a lot of people in the U.S. because it was the time to buy, because they flooded the market with bonds, devaluing their currency. It was the first time, too, that a country had actively devalued their own currency on purpose.
Yeah, that's pretty rare.
Yeah, it's kind of scary to look at, but
see, the disruption from this will come not necessarily when, people won't be just dropping dead. It'll come when there's school districts are shut down. When the postal service isn't running on time. All those small little things you take for granted, or when the store shelves are empty. That's probably why it's a pretty good idea to have at least 2 weeks worth of food, water, supplies.
That's why I'm very glad we can here. This actually kind of crosses back into the survival episode me and Martin did. Now, did I ever tell you about James Wesley Rawls?
No.
He wrote a book. He's written a few books. The one he was known for was called Patriot, which I haven't read. But the one I did read, it was a gift for me years ago, was called How to Survive the End of the World as We Know It, or Tiatawaki. And I had talked to Martine about this on the survival episode, but I'll go over it again because it's an amazing book. It paints a story of just a hypothetical, which is only like the first few pages of the book, and then it goes into survival techniques. It's more of a manual of like teaches you how to do stuff.
Okay.
I love reading about stuff like that. Like I told Martine, I pretty much had read and memorized years ago the U.S. Army's the Army Ranger Field Survival Manual, because it has so much good stuff in there, like with the local plant life and everything, all the stuff you can do with it. You can make coffee out of dandelion roots, which I still actually want to try.
It's not bad.
But in the beginning of that book, he talks about, we call him Joe Sixpack. Like, Joe Sixpack is your average Joe, usually your townies. He doesn't have, like, he never keeps more than half a tank of gas in his car, only fills it up when it's dead empty, only has, like, a week's worth of groceries or maybe 4 or 5 days worth in his cupboards. There's no pantry. He doesn't store anything. Grabs his 6-pack of beer after work every day, kicks his feet up on his recliner, and enjoys his night after work. So anyway, Joe Sixpack doesn't have more than, he goes home at the end of his shift with his 6-pack of beer, kicks back on his recliner, drinks his beer. He's a happy guy. Okay? So in the book, though, he talks about, I believe it was like a pandemic that broke out. And so it starts just like how this virus has been starting here. And all is well and good, because we operate right now, though, is our market, not just like the economy, whatever. Our trade and commerce inside the United States operates on what's called a just-in-time trade system, which we adopted from the Japanese after we'd seen them how they did it in World War II. So if you go to the grocery store, like we went to the grocery store today and bought a couple avocados for stuff. Let's say she bought like the 3 avocados, and that register, once we hit the checkout, that was 3 less than, okay, it hit this certain number. So the computer automatically will order more avocados because it knows at the average rate of consumption that they're selling these things. The truckers they already got an order from the farm, and it's going on the truck.
Right, it's self-adjusting.
And it's making its way to and from. So now your grocery stores have no backlogs really of food. What we see in a grocery store, 9 times out of 10, out there in the produce sections and what's on the shelves is what they have.
Yeah, it came that night.
Yeah, it came that night or a day or two or a week or so, whatever, whether it's produce or cereal or box goods, perishables, non-perishables, what have you. That's it. Grocery stores back in the day, like the 40s and 50s and 60s even, they had stock rooms. So if you wanted to get some apples and there was none there, you ask the manager, the employees, like, oh, excuse me, sir, do you have some apples? And they go, well, let me check the stock room. And they go back, and it was a dry goods room and a pantry.
Right.
And they would go back and be like, yeah, we had these. And then they'd restock from that because they knew the trading and the commerce and everything was running slower. Most modern grocery stores don't even have a stock room. They just have like a loading dock, and that's it. The old stores that used to have those, that's all like an area for breaking down boxes now. So, now knowing who Joe Sixpack is, because that constitutes, it's estimated by Rawls at like 80-85% of the country is a bunch of Joe Sixpacks. And we have a shoestring commerce that just runs everything just in time. 85% of the country operates that way.
What's one of those chains break, you know?
It's not even, it's the, like I said earlier, I'm a tiny little cog in a big machine. So we'll say that, the pandemic, Corona, breaks out. And then all of a sudden, it starts blowing up like it's slowly but steadily appearing to do. I really do hope they get this thing under control, by the way. People start getting sick. We'll say this, like if this thing mutates again and becomes more than what it is, like the mortality rate rises, because also in the Wuhan area, the avian flu and the swine flu also broke out in that same area at around the same time or a little bit after. They're worried about those crossbreeding or mutating genetically into some superbug.
Umbrella Corp.
Yeah. Zombies. So the mortality rate skyrockets in this hypothetical that was in the book as well. The mortality rate skyrockets in this virus. People are dying from this virus more so than what they were. So you have like the trucking company that operates the Apple shipments or whatever. One driver gets sick. He infects a bunch of others. They get sick and they die. The rest of them, the guys that are still healthy, they weren't exposed. If we're working for that trucking company, me and you, and we see 6 of our buddies or whatever, our coworkers, they get taken out by this, and they all work for the same company, do you think I'm going to work?
Exactly. And that's how it's going to disrupt people's
commerce
lives.
Starts coming apart.
Yeah.
And then when the shipments are late and stores start running out of things,
Even
Joe
more
Sixpack,
panic.
yeah, Joe Sixpack shows up after his shift to get his 6-pack of Bud Light or whatever, and they're out. And now he's got to drink Miller Lite or something. Oh, God, some beer that ain't his. But they start running out of that stuff.
Exactly.
You strip these people, these Joe Sixpacks of the world, of their bare basic necessities that they believe, like their cable TV is their necessity, their 6-pack of beer is their necessity. You give them that, and they're happy. Okay?
Unlimited gas.
Yeah. You strip them of that, and that thin veneer of humanity is just stripped away, and they turn into some animals. Like
raiders.
Yeah. In the book, he talks about the Golden Horde, which was Genghis Khan. This is what Genghis Khan's horde was called, the Golden Horde. Wherever they moved, they were like a plague. They just ravaged everything. So in the book, like, everything is just starting to fall to shit. And all these people, all these Joe Sixpacks band together, a bunch of high school football heroes and stuff. I had the rocket arm back in 85.
I threw his football over that mountain.
Let's band together. Let's take out all the nerds. Yeah. So, but what he's saying, though, in the book is that they're going to band together and create this horde because they're just going to be looking out for me and mines. And yeah, they're going to have families and they're going to want to look out. Who's not going to want to look out for their family? But if everybody wants to look out for their family and that's it, in the grand scheme of things, it's a big world. We all live in it.
Things break down.
Mm-hmm. But if this kind of stuff happens and we go into it and these people like the Joe Sixers or whatever go into this with that mentality, no one will survive because everybody just wants to they want to get the short game. My old lady, she is convinced that if something like this ever happens, like that's it. She's going to die. She's going to just, lay down and be done. I said, no, you're not, because I'm going to force you to keep going. But she asked me, said, who would want to live through something like that? And I said, I would. I said, it'll be like The Walking Dead. It'll be bad. It'll be this. I said, that's just initially. It might be like a few years or whatever. But after that, you got to rebuild. You got to rebuild the world. Mm-hmm. And as terrible of a thing that might have to be to go through, I mean, the chance to survive it and get the T-shirt.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what's next? You know.
I mean,
I mean, somebody has to be there to carry on. You know?
Yeah, I'm a survivor, man.
Mm-hmm.
My legacy in podcasts. Somebody might be listening to this now
Just
in the
got
wasteland.
epic.
Yeah, I'm out there in the wasteland right now. This would be 10 years from now or something. And I'm like eating a dead rat. They found this podcast.
Oh, look, holotape.
Throw it into my Pip-Boy.
No, I'm right there with you. You know, I have no problem dying. Like, I've made peace with that long ago. But
I don't have an issue with it. Like, I know it's going to happen.
I feel there's a moral imperative to stay alive. Yeah.
I'd prefer not to. Just to be a part of something, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we're all a part of something now, but you always want more. That'd be
be part of that social fabric.
Great adventure.
Yeah.
Of the apocalypse.
No,
Coronavirus 2020. Woo!
Trust me, I get it. That's, I mean, I've seen that come up for a while, not just with this virus, but just how fragile our society really is.
Mm-hmm.
What, you know, it wouldn't take much just to knock it off balance, just enough, you know, to throw things into chaos. I can't remember. There's a percentage.
Joe's six packs, a lot of them.
Paycheck to paycheck.
Paycheck to paycheck, and they live outside of their means. They live in debt. They live in credit. Do you know how many credit cards I've had? One. And that credit card, I got rid of that. Ooh, hang on. 10 years ago.
Mm.
Okay, I don't even use checks. I don't use checks because I don't trust myself with them. Not that I'm just going to write a bunch of them. Is that I'll write it down and then I'll forget about it. I pay my bills online, or I pay it in cash, or I use a debit card. My credit score, look, my credit score was, God, it was terrible. Like 10 years ago, it was because I was young and stupid and had that one credit card and just jacked everything up, and I was just a moron.
I did the same thing.
My credit score was like a 420. It said 3% of the country has a worse credit rating, and it's like 98% of the country or whatever has better credit than me. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty bad.
I think everybody has to make that mistake once. You either learn from it or just go further into debt for the rest of your life.
I didn't have a lot further to go. I mean, I was pretty much at rock bottom, and since I don't use credit cards, my credit score has taken 10 years to climb up to be up back in 700s. And that was 10 years of paying my bills on time, paying early, paying a little bit extra. And this is the kicker. If you have a credit card, though, every month, stuff that you owe reports to the credit agency, like to your credit cards or whatever. They report 7 times a month to the credit bureaus.
Good Lord.
So if you're behind one payment and you let it go a month, it's hit your credit 7 times. But if you're ahead, it's hit you 7 times in positive points. You gain more points. I don't do that. The only thing I did do to boost my credit, I have a small personal loan that I've just been paying. And since I don't use credit, that's the only thing I got to just keep boosting it. Other than that, and then like my car payment or now the mortgage. But those items only report to the credit agencies once every 30 days. So it's a lot slower. A lot less room for error, or a lot more room for error, I guess. So yeah, having no credit cards but having a personal loan, an automotive loan, and a mortgage has taken me 10 years to get my credit from absolute dismal to pretty good. According to like my TurboTax stuff, it was like, hey, your credit's pretty good. It's not great. It's not 800, but it's 700. Oh yeah, you know what's really okay? Back to the coronavirus. This is what's really kicking me in the balls.
And another thing.
This is what really grinds my gears. The N95 respirators, the NIOSH approved N95 respirator mask, not the little surgical one, the little cuppy one with the nose pinch. Okay. I bought a few of them, just like a little pack, just in case. And it's not because, like, it's prepping. Well, I guess you could call that prepping, whatever. But it's not because I believe, oh, God, it's going to get so bad and it's going to be zombie land out here. You know, me and her talked about it. I said, I'd rather just have them and we never need them and, you know, need them and not have them. Okay? Like, if it gets bad enough to where we're just looking at prevention from us getting it and we're still going to work, whatever, we got them. I went on Amazon.
Sold out.
Well, not only sold out. Went on Amazon like a month ago. You could buy like a bulk pack of 25 of these respirators for like $20. You go on Amazon right now. For a 10-pack of them, on average, it's $150. Everybody on Amazon, they're all private sellers, all personal sellers. The ones Amazon stocked,
So
they all got bought by people that set
I see
up
where you're
an
going with
Amazon vendor account. They're price gouging respirators.
this. Always somebody trying to make a buck.
Now, for those of you out there, though, that don't want to pay an arm and a leg for a respirator, let's hear a word from our sponsor, who we still don't have. But I'm going to tell you a little trick, though, in a place that a lot of people don't think to look for them. You go to Walgreens, you go to Walmart, Home Depot, whatever. They're pretty much all sold out. The ones that the private sellers or whatever, the ones that the people just bought up not to sell but to have for them, they're not trying to turn a profit on it. Okay? Advanced Auto Parts, AutoZone.
Nice.
That's where I went. $2.99 for 5 of them.
Good man.
Went right down there, and I was getting like a washer fluid or something for my car, and I was like, oh, look at that, $2.99. Snap, grabbed it. So if you need some, I recommend going to a little auto parts store.
See, that's not a bad thing to have, because you got to think of it in terms of prepping for just about anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not just coronavirus, but say, what if you have a forest fire?
Mm-hmm.
Anything.
Well, it was
Any
stated,
kind of
it was said, if you prepare for the hypothetical zombie outbreak,
you're ready for everything.
You're ready for anything and everything. Think about everything that the zombie does. It's going to break down your house and break in. All right, you're prepared for riots and mass hysteria. Oh, everybody's homes are burning down from the zombies knocking shit over. Oh, you're prepared for forest fires. You're buying the shit you need to just prepare yourself for the hypothetical zombie attack. You got a little something ready for everything.
And the thing about those masks is what people, I think, fail to understand and why there's such a run on them. I don't think, the respirators, that's different, but like the regular like paper masks, they're not intended to prevent you from getting infected. Mm-hmm. They're to prevent you from spreading it.
Yeah, the paper mask that wraps behind your ears, if you cough, because it has that barrier that prevents it from going out. The paper respirator, the N95 with the nose pinch and the cup look to it, that's a respirator that prevents you from getting it. Now, if you have facial hair, you're screwed.
Right.
Because it won't form a seal. That's why I was actually looking at getting like one of the N95 and above rated like face masks. Like the ones that have the independent filters, the little rubber silicone thing, and they have little replaceable charcoal filters on them. I don't plan on using them. They're good to have. This whole thing dies down, and I plan on pouring some concrete because I do want to pour a walkway. Oh, God.
Speaking of masks.
Oh, God. Okay.
Good?
Yeah. So, if I plan on pouring concrete or something, which I do because I want to pour a walkway at the house, I'll have a respirator. Because I did concrete years ago at my parents' house. We were pouring a concrete walkway for them. And me and my brother were being badasses and didn't wear respirators. I had cement powder in my lungs. And they said I could have died from it. It diminished. I ended up going to the hospital. I had 47% diminished lung capacity.
Oh, God.
Like walking, I was like, what's wrong? I'm like, I just walked. Yes. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, I don't know. And like, I could just feel this crud in my lungs. And over time, I coughed it up. But God, it was terrifying. They were like, yeah, you could die. I'm like, great.
Speaking of masks, like that puts me in mind, like, not to tell another war story, but I don't know if you remember me telling you about my experiences overseas as far as in Kabul.
Mm-mm.
The air quality, one of the most polluted cities on the planet. So much to the point where the locals on a daily basis would walk around in those masks. Like they would actually have weather reports that would call for black smoke. Because
was it smog or?
Yeah, in the wintertime, they burn anything and everything to keep warm. And that's pretty much their method for sanitation disposal is incineration.
Mm.
So like in the wintertime, there's this like thick, heavy black fog that just lays in the valley. So much to the point, like I said, like the locals would be running around with masks, and like we would ask command, we'd be like, hey, should we be worried about this? Should we wear masks? Can we get some masks to wear? Like, no, we don't want to make the locals panic.
But they're wearing them.
Exactly.
We're just blending in. We're just one of them. They're one of us, you know?
No, it's good. Don't worry about it. You're good.
We don't want to spook them.
Oh, military intelligence.
The oxymoron of the century. Okay, so there is a silver lining here to all the questionable mortality going on here with everybody with this virus outbreak. The Karens of the world. I would think that maybe they've become a little bit better now. Do you know what a Karen is?
No, elaborate.
So it's been kind of a running meme on Reddit and a lot of social media lately. A Karen, in quotes, and apparently it's also known as a Sharon now, but mainly a Karen, is she's got like the feathered, semi-bowl cut hair, and she's usually a mom driving a big gas-guzzling SUV. And you know her when you see her because she's usually bitching and screaming for the manager because she has some complaint to issue.
Okay.
She's the one that leaves all the one-star reviews on Yelp.
So instead of that guy, it's that girl.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Don't be a Karen. Okay. So me and her, we went to Shoney's today to get some food. And I looked behind her and I said, babe, you're 6 o'clock? 2 Karens. Had the hair and everything. And they're looking at the food like, oh my God, this food is just repulsive. I need to speak to your manager. Like,
it's atrocious.
These eggs are runny. This is runny eggs. And I'm like,
it's Shoney's. That's what they do.
Yeah. I was like, this is
like
Shoney's.
the runny eggs.
This is Shoney's. My voice is good. Shoney's.
I mean, what else do you expect for $6.99? You know?
I was like, this is a smaller, slightly better version of Golden Corral. I mean, they don't have Jeff Foxworthy pulling for them, but I mean,
it's Shoney's.
It's Shoney's.
It's Shoney's.
Shoney's.
See if they'll sponsor you.
That's the intro.
So explain the Karen haircut. Is it like a pixie bob?
Okay.
Because I might know somebody with this haircut very personally. Oh, yeah.
Karen haircut? Oh, God.
Anyways, go ahead.
Is Mrs. Scott a Karen?
In hair only.
In hair only. Good. Okay.
In every other way, she's a delightful human being.
Meg.
No. I may have a sister-in-law like that, though.
Oh, no, Karens. Yeah, so Karens. So here's the thing, I would imagine that maybe the Karens of the world should be a little bit nicer to people, maybe in your food service departments or wherever, because you never know who the carrier could be, Karen. Let's all be a little bit nicer to each other, Karen. And maybe you don't mouth off and scream for the manager, and maybe Todd or Steve or whatever his name is that's serving your food and he's feeling a little under the weather, doesn't cough a little bit of the corona into your food, okay? Because the end could be nigh. So hold your children tight, Karen. And Sharon.
I never heard that before.
It's a relatively new meme.
So, does that tie into the whole soccer mom, huge SUV?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you
stereotype.
You just see it. I mean, that is what...
Yeah, I see the hate.
You see that drive by, she got the big giant Paris Hilton glasses on, the feathered bowl cut, whatever it is. Yeah, speaking to the manager at all times, and just... They're usually the ones that almost kill you in their SUV when you're trying to make a lawful turn and they're just plowing through.
Like they're on the cell phone.
Oh, yeah, on the cell phone. And like the head's just bobbing. You can tell, no matter what it is, like you see that and automatically I know, like she's bitching to customer service right now. She's made it. Karen is talking to the manager of whatever company she's talking to. She's probably talking to her bank while she got overdrawn for spending too much money at Nordstrom or Forever 21.
Those are normally probably one of the ones that run up on me when I'm in the passing lane. And I'm doing 80, and they get into my comfort zone, and I hate that. I mean,
she usually says like soccer mom.
You know how I feel about proxemics in my vehicle, you know.
Karen, just remember, Karens, just remember, there's a lot of veterans out there on the road, so please have respect, so you do not accidentally trigger them.
Yeah, not to use the word trigger, but be careful who you tailgate.
Karen.
They may unintentionally have the strongest urge to ram you and pit you.
To pit you.
Because they've actually done it before.
Oh man, I always heard, you want to win the war on terror. You get all the Karens in the world. You give them an armored Chevy Suburban, unlimited minutes and unlimited gas. Just have them start driving through the desert, through Iraq. Just they're blowing up landmines left and right. You give them long distance minutes. They're mowing down terrorists because they're not paying attention.
Karens.
But I guess what I'm also trying to say, though, with the Karens of the world and the atmosphere that we're in nowadays because of this frickin' virus, maybe we should just be a little bit nicer to each other. You know? Because you just never know. You never know. This virus could mutate and it could all be over. Or this thing could blow over just like they're all telling us it's gonna.
Common courtesy, folks. You never know who you might have to depend on.
So maybe if we piss each other off a little bit less and when the time comes and you need help.
You never know. That weird, quiet guy next door that you only see after dark.
And the one you bitch about for playing his music too loud.
Maybe the only thing keeping you alive a couple months.
You're welcome, Karen. I'm just going to say that. But all right, guys. I think we're all out of time right here.
Man.
I know. But hey, we hope everybody... Give us 5 more minutes, Karen. But all right, guys. That's all the time we got here for this evening tonight, this week. And wherever you're at and wherever you're listening or wherever you're watching, if you're checking us out here on YouTube, we hope you're all doing well. And we hope this virus doesn't reach you. To our friends so far that we know we got hits in Germany and Sweden and Australia, hope you guys are good. To our brothers and sisters out here in the United States, be well, disinfect, cover your fucking mouth when you cough. Until next time, guys, myself, along with Scott, wishing you a very happy day in 2020, and may God have mercy on our souls. This year needs to get better.
Just keep on keeping on.
Yeah. All right, guys. Peace out.